Now to an I-Team investigation, don't ask, don't tell. Some are saying it's time to allow gays and lesbians to serve openly in the military. Well, to try to get some perspective, the I-Team's Matt Norton spoke with a gay airman who was kicked out while he was in Anchorage. Matt.
Good evening, Reagan. You know, coming out can be a pretty difficult process, and sometimes it actually takes years for a gay person to even acknowledge to himself what his sexual orientation truly is. David Hall came to that realization while he was enlisted in the Air Force. It was the summer of 1998, and David Hall, who loaded bombs and missiles on F-15s, got his wish. The Air Force was sending him to Elmendorf.
And I love doing outdoor stuff and hiking, so that was the reason why I wanted to go there. I wanted to see what it was about and why so many people had talked about it.
David also had a dream of flying those planes he was taking care of. But you have to be an officer to be a pilot. So a few years after arriving in Anchorage, David got permission to leave the active duty military and join the Air Force ROTC as a student at UAA. He had already been taking some classes in his spare time and had met Jack Glover, who was also in the Air Force ROTC. The two began dating. David had come out to his parents while he was stationed at Elmendorf, but under the government's don't ask, don't tell policy, he had to keep that part of his life secret.
When I was at work, I focused on, doing my job, and I kept my private life separate. So you put everything in separate compartments, and then you just learn to use pronouns. You just change a he to a she.
Don't ask, don't tell was the result of a political compromise after President Clinton's failed attempt in 1993 to allow gays to serve openly in the military. Under the policy, about 12,000 members of the military have been discharged for being gay, according to the Service Members Legal Defense Network.
Are there wonderful Americans who happen to be homosexual serving in the military? Yes.
General Peter Pace spoke out on the issue last year while serving as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
That we should respect those who want to serve the nation, but not through the law of the land condone activity that, in my upbringing, is counter to God's law.
But that view seems to be changing inside the military. In 2006, Zogby International, a well-respected polling agency, surveyed troops who'd served in Iraq and Afghanistan. 73% said they're personally comfortable in the presence of gays and lesbians. David's dream of flying was coming true. In March 2002, he won a very competitive spot in a pilot training program. He was at the top of his ROTC Class 2, rising to a leadership position. And by this time, he and Jack were always together. A fellow cadet put 2 and 2 together and turned them in. David and Jack were both kicked out.
Well, I was very disappointed, when I got discharged or disenrolled from Air Force ROTC. I should still be flying planes today, not, having to work at a desk. I think it was a big loss for the Air Force. I was ranked #1 in my class.
But he doesn't blame his chain of command.
I realized that this wasn't the military's fault, that, this is a law that was passed by Congress. And so now I'm doing my best to get this law repealed.
David and Jack both live in Washington, D.C. now, just a couple of blocks from each other. But they're not dating anymore. David says they're just really great friends. David Hall now works as a fundraiser for the Service Members Legal Defense Network. That's a group that's urging Congress and the courts to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. If that happens, David hopes to go back into the military. His dreams of flying are still very much alive. And by the way, we put our entire interview with David online at the I-Team section of KTVA.com. Reagan?
Thank you so much, Matt.